This evening we have one more speaker today, very special speaker. This is Nancy Gonzales. She's the Executive Vice President and University Provost here at Arizona State University. Perhaps the most complex, large state university in the country. And I just discovered, so she has a day job, pretty good sized day job, you would say. She's also the foundation professor in the Department of Psychology, where she's conducted groundbreaking research on culturally informed models of human health and development with the goal of developing public health strategies to reduce health disparities in vulnerable communities. Just could not be better aligned with the mission of this coalition. She's also served as the director of REACH Institute, which develops evidence-based interventions to improve health in multiple settings. So also has this sort of natural interest and background in evidence-based work, which is what we do here. Professor Gonzales is a fellow of the American Psychological Association, which kind of fits right in with the theme of the psychologists we've had all day today, which has been really great. She's won many professional awards, including a Distinguished Career Award from the American Psychological Association, the Society for Research on Adolescence, and the Society for Prevention Research. In addition, she was named one of 2021 most influential women in Arizona, and also Arizona Latina Trailblazer. This doesn't describe, Nancy is just amazing. I didn't think there was any chance that we could get her to serve on our steering committee, given all the stuff that she's doing. And as I remember it, she didn't even hesitate. Of course, I'll join this. I may not be able to travel to all the meetings. I may need to do this by Zoom. Hasn't missed a single one, has been our guiding light. And it's turned out, if it weren't for her personal interest and commitment, this conference probably wouldn't be happening now with the support from Arizona State as a very gracious host of the institution here, which has made our meeting possible. Nancy, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us tonight.
Thank you, Rick. That was really a very, very generous introduction. So, thank you, and good evening, everyone. I truly appreciate the invitation to speak tonight, and one of the primary reasons is just so I can offer you a warm welcome for all of you who are visiting here at Arizona State University, and to thank each of you for engaging the grand challenge presented to us at this first ever in-person convening of the Coalition for Life Transformative Education. And the challenge is this: how do we provide educational experiences that deliver more than simply a degree and a first job, although those clearly are great outcomes? Our challenge, in addition, is to offer transformative educational experiences that do more. Now, what does this mean? And I know you've been talking about this all day, and I hear wonderful things about the conversations you've had already. As I understand it, this means preparing students to live connected, meaningful lives that enable them to achieve lifelong well-being in all dimensions, so they can navigate life's challenges when they're here with us as students, but also later in their personal and professional lives. It means preparing them to engage as world citizens who will contribute to a stronger and more connected society, allowing us to make good on our claim that a college degree is not just a credential for few, but a public good for all. And it means achieving this equitably for all students enrolled across our very different campuses and institutions, irrespective of their backgrounds and prior experiences. As ASU Provost and a clinical developmental psychologist who have spent my career studying life trajectories and the environments that promote positive youth development. I am very pleased that ASU is part of this ambitious coalition of like-minded institutions committed to this grand challenge. I thank Rick Miller and the founding leaders of CLT for their vision. And if we can, I do also want to take this moment to thank my wonderful staff from the Provost's office who have helped to put this conference together. I know that they worked hard and to make this, to give you an environment so that perhaps you can have a transformative experience while you're here with us. So thank you to the staff. As I suspect others in the coalition agree, I don't believe that well-being and flourishing are individual traits. I believe they are mutable dispositions produced by interactions and experiences across a person's lifetime, particularly at key developmental transitions and turning points, which is exactly what college is. They emerge from struggles and victories and the support we receive to make meaning of these experiences. If we want college to prepare students to flourish in all ways, beyond simply the degree and the first job, higher education needs to design experiences that are most likely to lead to these life-transformative outcomes. Now, the types of experiences that produce such outcomes are by now relatively well known, and I know we're working hard to kind of identify them. And CLT has been a leader in helping us to identify some really critical aspects already, and you've heard about many of them today, so I'm just going to summarize what you've already heard. From the influential Gallup surveys, we've learned that graduates who experience lifelong positive outcomes most often report two key experiences as undergraduates. First, that somebody cared about them as a person, and second, that they participated in some type of experiential learning while in college. Undergraduates who had these opportunities were more than twice as likely to report high levels of well-being and work engagement later in life. I was very excited to see Dr. Waldinger as a key invited panelist to share insights from his extensive work and new book, including key findings from the landmark Harvard Adult Development Study, which I've known about for my entire career. After tracking thousands of Harvard sophomores over their lives, one factor was most correlated with good living and health, and that factor was good relationships. In my own longitudinal research and that of numerous other scientists studying life course development, good supportive relationships are always on the list of factors that promote thriving and health. And these results hold up across diverse populations. So it isn't just good for Harvard grads, as Dr. Waldinger has helped us understand, I'm sure. The goals of this coalition are to identify, share, and integrate experiences and programs that promote such life-transformative educational experiences as best practices in our learning ecosystems. For example, by making sure students have high-impact experiences while they are with us in college. And so just for the fun of it, because this is dinner and it's an informal experience, raise your hand, think about when you were an undergraduate, and raise your hand if you believe that you had an emotionally supportive mentor in college, somebody you really trusted, who you could go to for advice, who really took a genuine interest in who you were as a person. Excellent, very good. Okay, now, raise your hand if you think you had an authentic learning, experiential learning opportunity while you were in college, an opportunity that focused on real-world issues that you could dive in and really feel like you were testing yourself and putting your knowledge to use. Raise your hand. Okay, we're doing very, very well. Now, I think I heard you this morning say that about 3% of students can claim those two experiences. So, you know, you're a self-selected group for sure, and you're living at a different time. But anyway, I will say that in my own, looking back at my own college experience, As a first-generation college student, I was fortunate to have both experiences, and it was truly transformational for me. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that when I came to college. I grew up in a rural Mexican-American community, and I understood how to move in and out of different social worlds. Sometimes you fit in, and other times you were clearly in the out group. Although I am proud that ASU was recently designated a Hispanic serving institution because over 25% of our enrollments are Latino, when I came to school here as an undergraduate, only less than 4% were Latino. And this was even lower in the sciences, which is where I spent most of my time. So I was excited to learn, but I wasn't necessarily expecting deep connections nor to be embraced by the community here. I came here to get a degree. But I was inspired by my psychology professor in my sophomore year, and I asked to join his research program that included a very vibrant group of ASU faculty and graduate students working to launch a new initiative on resilience and prevention science. From that moment on, I was part of an amazing team pursuing use-inspired, community-embedded research, and it became my professional calling. I eventually landed back here at ASU as an assistant professor in what became an award-winning NIH-funded Center of Excellence in Child and Family Resilience and Prevention Science, and it was the same interdisciplinary center that I had seen in the initial planning stages as an undergraduate student. So I have since had the honor of paying it forward numerous times by offering hundreds of undergraduate students similar mentoring experiences and engaged experiential learning. I'm very proud to say many of our students have had transformational experiences, but not all. I was always very aware that some students had to work, some students had families at home, some students couldn't participate. We actually tried as much as possible to hire students into the lab through work study as well to broaden the opportunities, but clearly there are limitations. As a parent as well, I have seen each of my 3 Gen Z daughters find these experiences. But I have to say, it wasn't always easy, and parents who have experienced this up close will understand this. One daughter switched colleges after her freshman year to find the right fit, and then excelled socially, academically, and in research and service activities. She had a wonderful mentor, a distinguished female neuroscientist, and was highly engaged in research, much like my experience had been. My second daughter found instant belonging in athletics, playing Division I lacrosse. But her heavy practice and game schedule made it difficult for her to identify a purpose in her studies. It wasn't until she found the pivotal summer internship, a law-focused internship, that she felt comfortable and wouldn't simply freeze with that dreaded question, what are your interests? What are you going to do after graduation? My youngest chose a college that is famous for offering community and sense of belonging, but she struggled to integrate her diverse interests. I think it was physics and peace studies when she began, when all of her experiential opportunities evaporated with COVID during her junior and senior year. All 3 of my daughters spent a significant portion of their education in emergency remote programs thrown up quickly during the pandemic, including one in medical school and one in law school. These were very challenging times for everybody. So this brings me to an important point. Even under the best of circumstances, it is a heavy lift to provide life-transformative experiences to all students. Not that that shouldn't be the goal. The added challenges we have faced in recent years have made it especially more difficult. Students today experience many more uncertainties about the future, family financial difficulties and student debt, social learning and opportunity losses due to COVID, and rising skepticism about the value of a college degree. This This shouldn't deter us from our mission. In fact, it probably means that our mission becomes even more important. As we all know, the demographics of the college-going population are also changing. Students are more likely to work, to have kids, to be older, and have prior college experiences that did not lead to a college credential. They are also coming from more diverse backgrounds, and that include new types of hardships and traumas. And most critical, they are struggling with the greater rates of mental health problems than ever before, particularly for Gen Z youth. This past January, the U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, issued a public health advisory on the mental health challenges facing youth. It was a rare call to action to address what he called an emerging mental health crisis marked by a doubling of youth rates of depression and anxiety, and 51% increase in suicide attempts for girls. Various hypotheses have emerged to explain the current youth mental health crisis. Explanations include growing use of digital media, increasing academic pressure, limited access to mental health care, alcohol and drug use, and broader stressors such as rising income inequality, racism, gun violence, and climate change. The pandemic and its disruptions to life at home, school, and in the community have exacerbated the effects on youth, and this has been especially pronounced for vulnerable groups that were already experiencing health inequities prior to the pandemic, such as immigrants, students with disabilities, and students of color from low-income families. So, as we consider our role as stakeholders in the Surgeon General's call to action, I believe this is an opportune time to integrate what we know about life transformative education and its power to promote well-being and flourishing with a broader public health framework and response to the current mental health crisis. Toward this goal, I want to just briefly offer 6 recommendations from a public health perspective to inform this integration. Hopefully, some of these will help us to avoid Rick's warning this morning about the just say no approach to public health, which we all know doesn't work, didn't work, won't work. So, number 1, multi-tiered systems are recommended to provide services to individuals depending on their level of need in most public health models. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 2/3 of students who leave college do so because of mental health issues. So clearly there is a need to intervene with students in acute distress. And this has been our primary approach to mental health on most campuses, mostly through counseling centers and other supports that frankly have been overwhelmed by demand in recent years. However, in addition to services for symptomatic students, universal strategies are also needed to focus on holistic well-being for all students, as well as for faculty and staff. At ASU, our Chief Wellbeing Officer is now working with an advisory group to build a whole university approach to well-being that cuts across the whole spectrum, starting from universal interventions such as public service announcements and activities for all students, selective interventions for those who are at higher risk but still not symptomatic, as well as timely integrated intervention responses to those in acute need. Transformative educational experiences can and should inform all that we do and play an important role in multi-tiered frameworks for campus well-being. So, 2, strategies to address the spectrum of needs often require holistic system redesign and data-driven infrastructure to monitor and identify those at risk early enough to offer effective services. For example, and there are many ways that we want to think about redesign, and let's face it, many of us are in the process of wholesale redesign of our institutions. Many universities are implementing systematic redesign of advising as a critical step to address students' needs and to close attainment gaps. Too often, advising becomes transactional, edging out opportunities for students to build and take advantage of personal relationships with advisors. For years, ASU has employed e-advisor, a suite of advising technologies to allow students to self-serve as many transactional tasks as possible, to automate alerts, and therefore allow students' advisors capacity for more meaningful interactions when they do come together. We are now redesigning and expanding this infrastructure with an advising portal that pulls data from multiple university systems to provide advisors with holistic information about each student, an actionable analytics platform to provide data-driven predictions of individual students' persistence and needs. And actually, my data analytics person is sitting right here. An in-house chat bot, Sunny, has also been developed to run routine enrollment and registration functions and to answer simple questions. This work is supported by the fact that students are quite willing and actually usually prefer to interact with a chat bot for these items. Sunny is also being leveraged in outreach to at-risk students by proactively contacting students identified using the in-house actionable analytics platform. And you may be wondering, why am I talking about all this technology in a seminar focused on life's transformative experiences? Well, these students are then assigned a single university champion, not a chatbot. And this person can then coordinate any required follow-up services across the university, providing more opportunities for deeper conversations than are typically possible in a transaction-driven brief appointment. Now, we are ASU, and these innovations, and we know we're different than many campuses, these innovations, though, have been very important to serve our large population of over 80,000 students on our campuses, while making it more possible for advisors to have the information they need about each student to offer truly informed care and support. So number 3, equity should be a guiding priority and a core value, as it is in public health, and I assume this goes probably without saying in this group. In order to address equity gaps in student success and well-being, disaggregated data analyses are important, culturally congruent design, and targeted programs will be needed that are tied to social determinants such as gender, race, ethnicity, immigrant status, poverty, and others. For example, at ASU, we redesigned services for American Indian students based on 4 major areas identified as critical to their success: financial need, cultural congruence, academic preparation, and ensuring that all students have role models and mentors. We are able to do this particularly because we've seen a 200% increase in the number of American Indian faculty on our campus in the last 10 years. As another example of subgroups that present unique needs and challenges, we have been very focused on ensuring that our online students have opportunities for life transformative experiences, which may be surprising, as this is not a population where one would expect this would be possible. This includes opportunities for peer-to-peer interactions in all of our classes to ensure a sense of belonging, a success coach and mentoring available to every student, and most recently, faculty in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences developed the online undergraduate research scholars program that provides scalable and remote undergraduate research opportunities under the guidance of faculty to fully accessible that are fully accessible to online students who work with faculty that have specifically designed authentic research opportunities. So the work that I talked about that I found in my research lab is occurring in remote ways with our online population for faculty who have led authentic research grants, truly engaging in a wide variety of research questions, and we are looking for ways to be able to scale this with our online students as well. So number 4, service and practices should be integrated within existing systems of care. This is standard in public health. Public health is not a siloed endeavor. Public health is in nursing homes, it's in hospitals, it's in the police department. So we look for ways to integrate experiences for our students in these places as well. So one example that was already presented at this program is our Work Plus program that we are working to disseminate and scale with support from CTLE. So the novel design of Work Plus is that it leverages thousands of existing student jobs that are already offered on campuses. We employ about 12,000 students in work study and a variety of other jobs. So we use these naturally occurring opportunities to integrate career readiness. Students simultaneously gain professional experience by working in real jobs, while also learning to articulate transferable skills and competencies with the support of supervisors who are receiving training in how to be more than just a person supervising your job, but somebody who understands about mentoring and provide that experiences for students to gain more from that job on campus. External partners are also very important in this work to support a robust and integrated system of support for students, including partnerships with K-12, with community college systems, and with industry, government, and health partners. In fact, I think experiential learning, which is a cornerstone of transformative education, ultimately can only be scaled at the level needed with such partners. And increasingly, we find that they are very willing to offer students real-world opportunities through internships and other types of work-integrated learning experiences. And they're also very willing to work with us in how to design those experiences, once again, so that everybody is getting the benefit that we're wanting. So number 5, it is important to build data infrastructure to support data-informed decisions and strategies. And I don't need to go into this one. The CLTE Coalition is very much aligned with this priority and is actively working to support efforts to collect and integrate data to evaluate efficacy and effectiveness of learning practices at scale. And then finally, number 6, technology must be better leveraged to support and scale innovations in education, as it needs to be in public health. And as I speak about public health, I'm well aware that there were some serious failures in our public health response to the pandemic that also need innovation. We are living in an age of rapidly advancing technology that must be part of the solution to all of the grand challenges we face. This will be true of innovations to address mental health challenges and student success, particularly if our public health aim is to achieve impact at scale. So we must get past notions that technology precludes life-transformative experiences and find ways that it can facilitate and scale our efforts, as many of my examples that I described illustrate. So yes, despite very active debates about the value of college, including just this morning an article in the LA Times, if anybody read that, I am a firm believer that our students should receive and they should expect a life-transformative education and not just a college degree. But our ability to do so will be challenged if we don't also consider broader mental health needs and equity gaps experienced by many of our students today. An integrated public health approach to student well-being that spans the continuum from illness to flourishing will enable us to address all students where they are. Holistic and system-wide strategies should draw from multiple perspectives, including students. They should be made available and relevant to diverse groups of students and leveraged to reduce equity gaps in student success and well-being. So I sincerely look forward to continued engagement with CLTE, sharing of best practices and collaborations in partnership with all of you to support our students' success across all dimensions. Thank you so much for being here. I think perhaps we should just keep eating dinner, although it looks like everybody finished. I will take questions, but I know it's been a long day, so.
I was actually curious about the technology being used in the advising space and how that's working for you. I mean, I think, I don't know a place that isn't struggling with the number of advisees to staff advisors. I think NACADA says 370 or whatever that number is to 1 is not a, you know, is what we're all striving for. Even that is difficult, but we have some advisees with advisors with six to 900 students,
Yeah.
which makes it impossible. So I'm just very curious to hear a little bit about how you've used technology to kind of lessen that load on staff advisors, and maybe just how involved your faculty advisors are as well.
Yeah. So it's looking very promising. I will say that we've just this year done a pilot, and I actually wasn't planning a data-focused talk, but it's been very important for us to make sure that we're evaluating how this is working. And we are already seeing much higher levels of persistence, which is just one mark of the success of these programs at this point in time in this semester than we've seen before. So we're already finding that at least in moving that level, we're seeing that that's the case. It's a great way to triage. I mean, it's a great way to be able to deal with many things that students can do quite well on their own if they're provided the mechanisms to do that. And that allows us to understand, first of all, some of them don't need to talk to their advisors. Those who do need to, the advisor is well prepared, and we've ticked off some things that we don't have to deal with, so we can really deal with those things that remain. But I think more importantly, it allows us to understand where there are students who need more, so we can direct our resources to those students. And so far it's looking very promising, but we've just started that this year. I don't know, I put you on the spot, whether you want to say more. Okay, not. Okay. Okay. But thanks for asking that question. Okay. Well, I hope you had a wonderful day, have a beautiful evening, and welcome back tomorrow. Thank you.